Welcome to Chronic Combat Conversations, a live look at our best bets, picks, and predictions for every UFC event. With your hosts, TV Scouting MMA and
The Guru back again for UFC Orlando. Stephen Wonderboy Thompson taking on Kevin Holland. Unbelievable freaking welterweight fight, man. Can't wait for that. UFC on ESPN 42. But before we can get into this pay-per-view level card, I'm just being honest, pay-per-view level card. Before we can get into that, we brought unbelievable, better Lambo plays. You may recognize him, you may not, right? Because sometimes he's rolling around in that tinted Lambo. Listen, dude is cashing fat stacks, unbelievable MMA handicapper, also pro poker player, right? Making some cash that way. Make sure you're checking him out on his YouTube channel, Narco Cop. What is going on, brother?
What's up, man? Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Thank you for that nice intro. Ready to bang these 15 fights out and maybe give these people some winners.
maybe. Okay, I'm sorry. You're going to have to go ahead. Give yourself a little more respect, my friend, because that maybe you'll cash a plus 1,000, I'll say. But this dude has been going crazy on his Lambo plays. Like Guru said, if there's anyone that could do an intro, it's the Guru. So shout out Guru as always. And please, guys, before we get our show started, make sure you like and subscribe and do the same thing over with Narco Cop, him over on Lambo, his Lambo play show and everything. It's just, you got to make sure you're following the guy. If somehow you're here at Chronic Combat Conversations and you're not already following Narco Cop on Twitter and everywhere, you're fucking up. So,
damn, dude, he's getting right into it.
Yeah, dude. Shit. What time do we have to waste? Because honestly,
none.
We could sit here and talk smack, but Kevin Holland, Stephen Thompson, they're ready to talk smack too. I think this is going to be a fucking great fight. Yo, shout out first of all, also to the chat. We got Mushroom in the house. He's ready for some Lambo plays. He went double cheesesteak this afternoon for his lunches. This fucking crazy monster. Yo, we got to start having
Geno's
Mushroom on for a segment.
Mushroom, which one was better, Geno's or Pat's, bud?
Yeah, we got to get this guy like a segment on the show one day. I'm just saying. And then Jew, we were in the top 5 on his Spotify. Love you, buddy. Hell yeah. Narco, double hitter. Yeah, this guy's been going all day, man.
Appreciate you, Kyle.
Hope you check him out on Marley's channel because the dude, they were just going live doing from a DFS and a betting perspective. So we're just going to touch on the betting here. And without further ado, sheesh. You see Stephen Wonderboy Thompson versus Kevin Holland. Oh, man. What is it? Big Mouth, right? Given proper nicknames here to start. Trailblazer. Okay. Big Mouth / Trailblazer. I like Big Mouth better for Kevin Holland. And that's a self-given nickname, so it's not like a TB nickname.
No, anyways, I like Big Mouth better too, honestly.
Yeah. So we got
kind of cool though.
All right, fair enough. So Holland minus 165, Thompson plus 140, over 4.5 plus 140, under 4.5 minus 175. Kevin Holland is going to be 9 years younger, 3 inches height, 6-inch reach advantage. Actually giving up 2 inches at leg reach. That's kind of interesting. Maybe he's got crazy super long midsection. That's kind of weird. Now, realistically, you go ahead right to the advanced striking numbers, and Kevin Holland lands almost 1.5 times the number of distance strikes per minute and gets hit by a half a strike less per minute at the same time. Higher accuracy, and the distance defense is almost as good as Wonderboy. And Kevin Holland actually knows how to use his guard. That's the other thing, whereas Wonderboy is relying on movement, head movement, and body movement. So the question here, can Kevin Holland get his hands going, maybe find a Pettis-like finish at some point, or are the guys that just went on a podcast together going to have a buddy-buddy sparring match for 25 minutes? Guru, get down into the nitty-gritty here, because I'm leaning Kevin Holland, and I was kind of like, do I want to do a crazy submission prop at plus 600? But I think I'm starting to lean more towards what we were talking about, so I'll let you get that taken away
here. Yeah, I think it's really interesting because, I was on Kevin Holland when the line was pick 'em, and then as the line started to separate, I'm like, well, maybe I should be on Wonderboy, and it really caused me to, at least for me, really dig a lot deeper into this fight. And as we get even closer to the fight, it kind of makes me realize that, yeah, I think like you're kind of alluding to, TB. I think that they're gonna maybe pitter patter out a little bit. Kevin Holland is somebody that will grapple with Khamzat Chimaev, when forced to, and then he's gonna sit there and strike from distance with Wonderboy Thompson. Sure, he could try to clinch him up or go for the ground and try to win the fight that way. I just don't think that he will, because it's just not the way that he fights. Is a good distance striker, and I think that he's going to lean into that. I think the longer this fight goes, the more it actually may favor Kevin Holland, because I think the accumulation of damage should start to pile up on Wonderboy. But yeah, I find myself leaning kind of like Kevin Holland 4-5 decision, but also to the fact that I kind of just like the fight to go the distance, and you can just kind of stack those plays. So like, other way I was thinking about it, handicapping this fight was like, right, if this was a 3-round fight, right, would you be betting a finish? Would you be sure that there'd be a finish? I kind of be like, I kind of like that fight to go the distance. So why not bet fight to start round 4 at like, what was it, minus 105? That's even money play. And then certainly not no Lambo play. And then maybe a little stacking, right? Fight to start round 4, fight to start round 5, fight to go the distance. Because if they have a respectful sparring match, then that's what you're going to see. I also think there's an interesting point, right? When you watch Kevin Holland fight Jacare, he kind of like Jacare's like on top and he's talking to him, and Jacare's like legitimately confused as to why he's talking and what's happening. And then he gets knocked out. It was really, really crazy. And I do wonder if you can kind of lull Stephen Wonderboy Thompson into like a sense of friendship, but he's like the nicest guy ever and then still fight. So I actually don't really think that'll be an issue. But without further ado, we got to get to Narco Cop. So what's the read here, bud?
Yeah, I mean, I got in at Kevin Holland at minus 116. I just think that's a decent line. I don't want to say it's a great line, just because the problem here is all the intangibles favor Kevin Holland. Like, he's the younger guy, he's the taller guy, the longer reach, he's got more power in his hands. All these things that will favor Kevin Holland. The one thing that doesn't favor Kevin Holland is he's going to give Stephen Thompson the fight that he wants. And the fight that he wants is a distance striking match. So Stephen Thompson wants that type of a fight. Stephen Thompson usually does bad against guys that grapple him, right? Gilbert Burns, Bilal Muhammad, these type of guys, Tyron Woodley. But Kevin Holland's not that guy. I can almost assure you he's not going to grapple here. He's not going to go for takedowns here. He's going to keep it a striking match. The equalizer here, in my opinion, is the power aspect. Like, Kevin Holland has the power. Stephen Thompson, at this point, 39 years old. For me, I kind of feel like his durability is going away. He got dropped against Darren Till. He got knocked out against Anthony Pettis. And he almost got stopped by Bilal Muhammad with the ground and pound last fight. So to me here, like at this price, I'm not touching Kevin Holland just because he messes around way too much for my liking to be laying, minus 170 in a striking match against a guy that's a really, really good striker and kicker in Stephen Thompson. So with that being said, I do think this fight goes to decision. I do think both guys, it's going to be a 25-minute striking match. I think it's going to play close. There's not much else to say here. I mean, Kevin Holland at minus 116 is fine, but Kevin Holland at minus 170 is not fine to me. So I will be passing if I was to bet it at this point. But I do agree with you. The overs, maybe to look at the over, even the over 3.5, you can get it in some places. It's plus money.
Wow.
I want to look at DraftKings real quick and give you it's plus 105. So if you want to go to DraftKings over 3.5 on the alternate line, plus money, I think that's the way to go here.
Wow.
Not really messing around with the money line at this point.
I agree completely. It's so funny. I was just talking to my coworker today and I was saying the same thing. It's like Kevin Holland is literally going to get, you said it verbatim and you nailed it. He's going to give him the exact fight that he wants. And that could be a problem. So I even said, like, to TB earlier in the week, I'm like, oh, it could very easily be like a split decision loss for Kevin Holland that he laughs off, jokes about, shrugs, and still gets another fire matchup next fight out in 3 months because he's Kevin Holland and he's marketable. But I agree completely. Fight to go the distance, over fight to start round 4, over 3.5, over 4.5, all sound good. I really like the idea of stacking. It's a great way to cash a lot of money.
All right. Horses were beaten to death. We all agree. Yeah, let's see. We got the first of our Bam Bams of the night, right? We got Brian Bam Bam Barberena versus Rafael dos Anjos. Do we got an official nickname for Rafael? What do you think, Guru?
Hang on, it's my thing.
If not, he's getting a TV nickname, so you better find a good one. We got Dos Anjos at -540 and Barberena at a very special number of +420.
No nickname in his illustrious long career.
Rafael, I have a 12-pack Dos Anjos.
Oh, terrible.
Yeah, pretty bad. Over 2.5, -195. Under 2.5, +160. I think, straight off the bat, it's pretty clear that Bam Bam, he loves throwing down. He's not afraid of getting hit. You see it in how many strikes he absorbs from distance and his distance defense. Not ideal, but he does do that to land a higher amount than his opponents, and on paper lands more than Dos Anjos, and also is going to have, what is this, a 4-inch height, a 2.5-inch reach,
5-year age difference.
Yeah, so I mean, on paper, that's a Guru special right there. You're talking triple threat, not the Little Wayne version of triple threat. So anyways, ultimately my point here is, like, I was asking earlier in the week, like, is RDA, like, do I throw down my existing student loan balance on RDA money line and just hope to, like, pay off my loans at some point? And a good friend, Dan Levy, says good friends don't let friends bet on 40-year-olds that are -500. Obviously it's all facetious at the end of the day, but realistically, Rafael dos Anjos is a line issue. And as much as I want to play him, it's like, well, yeah, if he grapples and uses wrestling, like, Barberena really sucks there. He has, like, okay enough stand-ups, but, like, his cardio is going to go. And, it's just, if you're going to wrestle him, that's the path. It's just like, if RDA decides to play from distance, like, I'm going to be very sad about -540. I just know that ahead of time. So RDA by submission +300 for a guy that's -540. I'll go a little greasy submission prop to get us going here. Holland wasn't quite the one for me, but, RDA, what is it, second-degree black belt jiu-jitsu. Brian Barberena loves getting taken down, and he couldn't even knock out Jason Witt. So, like, realistically, am I really worried about a knockout here against RDA? Like, has Barberena even landed a knockdown since he's come back from his health issues? Those body kicks to a guy that had to go to the hospital for internal bleeding and serious health issues in Barberena, I could see a body kick TKO from RDA, so ultimately when you got +400 knockout, +300 submission, and -135 decision, it's like, fade the narrative, RDA inside the distance, right? Guru, go ahead, man.
Exactly. Yeah, man. I mean, honestly, from my standpoint, I don't even necessarily need to break down the fight. I think if the fight stays standing, like there's absolutely no grappling, then the fight is actually really could be way closer than you want it to be. RDA really needs to implement his grappling to look like a -540. And I think he should implement his grappling. I think he will implement his grappling. And I think he looks like a -540. You don't bet on it, though. Not there. And like you said, I do like the submission prop, but at +300, it really wasn't juicy enough for me. So I kind of go the other way in that respect. And I just kind of like the finish, maybe a little grandma's couch cushion on the finish at +180 on DraftKings. I'm sure it's a little sexier on FanDuel. I can pull it up while we turn to our guy, the Lambo play man, Mr. Narco Cop. What do we got?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a complete mismatch. Like in this fight is kind of like opposite of last fight I talked about. Like all the intangibles about age, height, and reach favor Barberena, but I mean the skill here is like a big gap for me. Like Dos Anjos, way better striker. Dos Anjos, way better grappler, way better wrestler. Both guys are very durable, but the problem is, how is Barberena going to win this fight? Like, he's going to get his legs chewed. He's going to eat body kicks. Like, RDA has some of the nastiest kicks in MMA. So this is a tough task for Brian Barberena here. Only thing he has going for him is his size. And, outside of that, I honestly don't see how he wins this fight. If RDA decided, I don't even want to say if, I think I know RDA is going to grapple. If you look at it historically, he's landed takedowns in almost every single fight outside of the fights where he is the much smaller and weaker guy. And what I mean by that is Usman, fights like that, like he can't get those guys down. But when he's fighting a guy like Barberena, when you go back and look at his wins, they're bad wins, to be honest. Robbie Lawler kind of piecing him up in the first round, hurt him a little bit. Matt Brown, the ghost of Matt Brown at 42, like back and forth fight, killing each other. Like those are not very good wins at this point in his career. And RDA, meanwhile, is, dominating guys that have looked pretty good in Renato Moicano. So, not very long ago, about a year ago, this guy lost to Jason Witt, guys, and he got dropped by Jason Witt in that fight. So that should tell you a lot about Brian Barberena. So Dos Anjos it's an easy win here, but I have a principle. I don't bet big, minus 300s and over. I just don't bet them. It's not a bet I make, and I just think it's an easy matchup for Dos Anjos here. I might at some point sprinkle a KO because I do think he can knock him out, probably with a body kick, like you mentioned, even body shots, because he throws a lot of nice shots to the body.
Yeah, I really think that after the Fiziev fight, he just kind of wanted to get almost a tune-up fight and just go out there and really lay it on somebody, whoever agreed to go out there with him. And Brian's like, hell yeah, I'm down, whatever. So, exactly.
Yeah, I'm on a 3-5 win streak.
Yeah, exactly. And before that, yeah, he'd beat Anthony Ivy. Woo, he won four of his last 5. Look out.
All right, so Mateusz Nicolau versus Matt Danger Schnell.
Yeah, man, one of the fights I'm probably most looking forward to on the card. Just absolutely
banger.
Should be really exciting.
Yeah, I think Schnell, has he had weight cutting issues, or am I mixing him up with Smolka?
He had a little bit in the past, but not as much as what's his face, Smolka or Alex Perez.
Okay, cool. So, but he did have that throwing up incident where they canceled this fight. That was him, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So, yeah. So ultimately, Matt Schnell. I mean, just go watch all the highlight clips. It won't do it justice me talking about the Sumaderji fight. So go rewatch that yourself. Pause this. Come back. Thank you. Like and subscribe. Whatever. Now we got Mateusz Nicolau minus 380, Matt Schnell plus 310. And have we not learned fucking anything? Because Matt Schnell is 3 years older, 2-inch height advantage, 4-inch reach advantage, but he's plus 310 and over 2.5 minus 125, under 2.5 minus 105. Yeah, pace here. I mean, Schnell, he's got some pace. Does he have the chin? The question. So it's you see all the shots he's taking and he looks aware. He looks like he's trying to move with them, trying to do all this stuff. But at the end of the day, it's we've seen Schnell knocked out so many times. And 3 knockouts, 3 submission losses. He's not afraid of getting finished. But Mateusz Nicolau isn't necessarily a guy that's, he's got 10 finishes and 10 decisions in his career. And a lot of those fights are outside the UFC. Not necessarily ideal. And in the UFC, he only has 1 finish. So for a guy in Schnell that to beat him, you either have to be Rogerio Bantarin for whatever from distance, or you have to finish him. Mateusz Nicolau, I'm not so certain he gets a finish. So minus 380, it's a clear line issue. Matt Schnell, I'm not saying I'm completely sold on his money line here. It's just if I was going to do anything as far as a betting perspective on the money lines here, it's quite clear that Schnell plus 310 is where there would be some value at least. I don't know how much value, but it looks a lot better than the minus 380 on the other side for the guy, giving up height and reach and doesn't have a clear distance advantage or scrambling. I think, it could look interesting. It's so ultimately, Guru, do you have more clear thoughts on a prop or anything?
Yeah, I'd actually have to disagree with you a little bit. So I do while I do agree that minus 380 is far too steep for Mateusz Nicolau, I do expect him to win here, and I actually might expect him to get a finish as well, because the way Matt Schnell just causes havoc in general obviously can work to his benefit when I guess you fight Sumadarji, but very oftentimes it does not work to your benefit and you get really hurt and you get finished. And one thing that I saw from Matthias Nicolau was that not only does he have just an absolutely nasty left hook and good counters that he's going to pop Schnell with, but he's very precise, methodical striker, right? He picks his shots very importantly, and one of the most important things I actually saw, which makes him a very different fighter than a lot of other fighters, his footwork is very, very good. The way he just circles off, or and will come closer and engage, and then will retreat out. It's a problem for Schnell, who just wants to create a car crash. Um, I'm not sure that Schnell's going to be able to sub him, because Matthias Nicolau is a BJJ black belt himself. So if you're Matt Schnell and you're kind of, let's be honest, sub dependent on a victory, and you're going to have to really hurt this guy and get a submission to beat him, I don't necessarily see that. I do, however, like Matthias Nicolau by finish, and then with something I was talking about with Couch Warrior, shout out Mike, on Twitter, was just about the fact that you could just play like the under 2.5, which was, I think, at plus money. Now it's at least at DraftKings minus 110 now, or as you wrote, minus 105. If you play that, you kind of get to hedge a little bit on both sides. So if somehow Schnell gets that sub, then you got it. And I think Nicolau causes damage. You see Schnell at an 81% total finish rate throughout his career. That's very high. So yeah, I just don't think that he's going to be able to inflict enough damage on Nicolau, because he's just a really smart striker. And you see that at his 67% striking defense, which is very high. Narco, what do you got, bud?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with TB about this line being a little too wide, man. Minus 380, Matthias Nicolau. Like, if you watch this guy fighting, he fights very close, man, against almost all of his opponents. So we're talking about a guy that usually doesn't even cover like minus 250s, and now he's minus 380. We know about Schnell's chin issues, and we know about him tapping to a one-arm guillotine that he didn't even try to fight hands with against Royval. But we also know that he's very, very dangerous, like his nickname suggests. Like, he's very dangerous from bottom. He throws up that triangle. He's got those long legs. But he's also very dangerous with his striking, man. His hands are really good. He's a longer guy here. He does have power in his hands. And, it doesn't show it on his record. He doesn't have like a lot of knockouts, because most of his wins are by submission. But when you rewind the tape, he dropped Royval. He hurt Sumadarji pretty bad. The guy has power in his hands. And Matthias Nicolau has been knocked out twice in his career. Don't think that's far-fetched thing to see Matt Schnell knock this dude out, because to me, his boxing is really good. I don't think Matt Schnell's boxing is bad at all. He's got really nice boxing. His problem is defensively, he sucks. He gets hit so much. And Matthias Nicolau, like you mentioned, has his best punch is the left hook. That's the punch he knocks most people down with. And again, Nicolau, when you look at his career, he doesn't have a lot of knockouts either, but he knocks a lot of people down as well. He's got a big left hook. He hurts a lot of people with that left hook. I just don't think he's a good follow-up finisher. And that's, there's some fighters that have that power. They just don't know how to follow up and finish. And he's one of those guys, in my opinion. So at the end of the day, I'm leaning Matt Schnell, and I hate myself for that, because I don't like betting this guy. But I think, this line's getting to the point where I might have to take a stab at Matt Schnell, because I do think Nicolau fights close for one. And for two, I think the reach advantage and the boxing here, I kind of favor the volume. Actually, I favor Schnell for sure, because Nicolau just likes to circle and do shit for for a whole round. And I don't like that. And he's a minus 380. Like, you're laying minus 380, knowing that a guy kind of starts slow. He like circles around the cage. It's a bigger cage, so he's going to do it more often. So I don't know. I don't like the minus 380. I do think he's the better fighter, but laying 380 kind of it feels shitty.
No, I've agreed with that completely. Like minus 380, the line is it was a balloon, Ariel. The line is just completely blown up.
Psycho.
I kind of like the fight not to start round 3 at plus 120 on DraftKings.
Happy Spice Factory.
But yeah, it's gonna be very interesting. I like you're saying. I don't think Schnell's gonna let him do that, and just kind of circle around the cage. So,
But the problem is Dvorak is like a pressure guy, and he
Right.
did it against Dvorak, and he did it for the whole first round.
Smaller cage, right? For that one.
No,
Was
this
it
is a
longer?
bigger cage.
No, I meant first versus Dvorak.
I think it was in a big cage, if I'm not mistaken.
It was Fight Night. Let's see. So probably not. Was it?
Yeah, I think it was a big cage.
Oh my god! If it would load, I'd know right now.
So
that was my other question though. So like, do we think like David Dvorak's striking or grappling is like, how do we think that fight would go with Matt Schnell? Because I think that's interesting. And it was the big cage. It was Blades.
So yeah, it was in Columbus. Yeah, it was a big cage. So I just feel like Nicolau just likes doing it. He likes circling the cage. He likes low volume, kind of looking like you said. He's looking for that perfect shot. And that's the only thing I would warn you about the under, because he's looking for that one pop shot. He's looking for that left hook, and it's a bigger cage. He can skirt the outside of the cage here. That's the only thing that, for me, I would be all in on the under on this fight if it was a smaller cage. But I'm not touching it I'm not touching it in this bigger cage and seeing how Nicolau fights.
So I have a final 2 points that kind of add to what you did there. In the Bontarine fight, Bontarine gets a knockout round 3 if he doesn't decide to wrestle Schnell instead of just finishing him on the feet. That's for 1. For 2, Matt Schnell. Tell me if I'm doing this right, guys, because I'm stealing both of your shticks and smashing them together here. I'm digging into Grandma's couch cushions, and I'm going to go ahead and put a little Lambo play on we got Matt Schnell by knockout plus 1,400. Did I do that right, fellas? You let me know.
Whoa. Yeah, I mean, satisfies me in terms of Grandma's couch cushion, hopefully in size, but what about the Lambo size? What do you think, Narco? Does it satisfy you?
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind that play just because I know he has power in his hands. We know Nicolau's been knocked out twice. The guy's dropped, Roy Val historically is very durable. Sumadarji got, knocked down and hurt very bad in that fight. He has power in his hands at the end of the day. So you're getting a plus big number for a guy that has power in his hands. He has got good boxing, and the other guy's been knocked out. Doesn't make sense, right? Plus 1,400 sounds like a good deal.
Also, Matt Schnell finish only is plus 300 if you think Nicolau is not really a prolific finisher. It's like, but still Schnell's chin is like, ah. So all right. Anyways, once again, we're taking horses, we're beating them out back, and now that we've gotten through that one, oh my goodness, talk about a banger! And we got the Couch Warrior just in time for the Grandma's couch cushions. And hell yeah, we got a fire guest today. Always best bets, best guess, always free. Keep rocking with us. We're here for a good time and a long time. And Mushroom, as always, round 1 knockout. Tuivasa coming back too soon. Tuivasa could be compromised to the body. Prince of Mischief, what's going on? Shout out to Chad. You guys are killing it today. Make sure you like and subscribe. I'm sure most of you guys are already subscribed, but if not, you never know. And hey, throw a little like on the video. It goes a long way. And
send it to your grandmas. Send it to your grandmas. Log into your grandma's YouTube, right? Since you've been stealing from her couch cushions, log on into your YouTube and subscribe from there too. We'll take it any way we can get it.
Yeah, hey, maybe grandma likes the chronic. Maybe she's been going out of the dispensaries doing those little 5 milligram edibles to help her sleep at night. You never know. She might be down with the chronic combat.
What do you think? What do you think's really in those hard candies? You know what I'm saying? Why do you think those old people like them so much?
Yeah, hell yeah. All right, so now that we've we went completely off the rails. However, the excitement for this fight, our second Bam Bam. So that's like Bam Bam squared.
Bam Bam cube.
Yep, Bam Bam Tuivasa versus Sergey. Do we have an official nickname, Pavlovich?
No.
All right, so that's his official nickname today. So minus 215 for Pavlovich, plus 185 to Ivasa, over 1.5 plus 175, under 1.5 minus 215. I'm kind of curious here. I got a little thought in my mind. Pavlovich is going to be a tank standing next to Tuivasa. He's got like a 9-inch reach advantage, 6-inch leg reach. Apparently, he's only 1 inch taller, but I'm curious when these guys face off, like what it's actually going to look like. That's something I'm really curious about. I feel like Ty's not really a 6'2", and Sergey's not really a 6'3". So let's see what happens there also. Sergey only 1 year older. So like for all the talk of, Ty, like, he had come up a bit as a young prospect, like Sergey did the same thing. He's at the same stage. So the real question here is, to Mushroom's point, is Tuivasa back too soon from the Gane fight? He doesn't really have to cut weight probably, so I'm not as concerned as much for like his brain health. Like, and it's not like he gets knocked out on the regular. And the dude's probably used to scraps. I mean, he's coming out of Marcon's camp, so let's be serious about Tuivasa and what he's used to.
It's like 3 months to the day.
Yeah, I mean, it's not terrible. I've seen worse. He got hurt to the body a bunch and then finished. So it's like, I mean, still not great. Still not great. Like, let's be real. But Sergey is very patient, right? He's not someone that's going to come in and bombard you unless you want to come and attack first so he can counter and use that long reach advantage to really work into his favor. So the question here is Tuivasa going to be a little bit more on the, chilled outside, maybe throw those big, heavy leg kicks for a little bit and dance around from the outside and hope, Sergey comes charging in at some point like big old Greg Hardy did. I don't think that happens, though. So I'm actually kind of curious, over 1.5 plus 175.
Whoa.
Am I a fucking psycho or like, what do you think?
I mean, there's really nothing on the tape, at least for Sergey Pavlovich, that would make you really feel confident in that over 1.5. But I don't hate like a fade in the narrative type shot. I mean, as I'm trying to flip through the yellow pages here and try to get out a prop here, this fight is, I feel like very difficult to kind of get a good line on because, I do feel confident that Sergey Pavlovich gets it done here. Whether Tai Tuivasa is coming back too early or not, I just think that the holes are whatever Tai Tuivasa's holes, which are being chinny, being too willing to be not necessarily chinny, but like chin exposed, right? Gets hit often, doesn't necessarily move his head, right? Willing to charge forward, total street brawler. Like that's how he wins against Greg Hardy, right? He actually gets hurt, like kind of does the chicken dance, stanky leg, and then Greg Hardy runs forward and he like pops him right in the eye, and Greg Hardy's like, ow, and that's that. So when you really actually think about it, like they have a very similar level of competition too. Like I think it's fairly even. So other than obviously him fighting Cyril Gane. But I like Sergey here, and I like my little Gucci. What? Oh my goodness! Oh, that's so. Oh, that commercial. That commercial is actually really
my
funny.
Little Gurusito. No more taking grandma's change. You're gonna leave poor grandma nothing for bingo. Okay, Guru. Thank God. Coming in on the burner account, Guru's grandma.
I know that. Yeah, that Taco Bell commercial is actually really funny.
Speaking of Taco Bell, also my asshole's gonna be puckered for 7.5 minutes or less. I'll probably just shit myself when this plate ends at the 2-minute mark. So
yeah, I just like because like
to Mushroom's lunches also. Because,
when you look at Sergey Pavlovich round 3 or decision at plus 650, that's like so sexy compared to Sergey Pavlovich round 1 or 2 minus 160. So they obviously think he's gonna end it early, and I kind of do too. Even though it's a big cage, like I just think Ty's gonna go in there and I'm from Western Sydney. That was not a really Australian accent, but. He's just going to go in there and try to stand and bang.
Your Paul Craig is better. All right, Narco. We've been keeping you in the dark over here. Let's turn it over before Guru tries more accents.
Yeah, I mean, I like Tai Tuivasa here.
Ooh.
I honestly don't understand this Pavlovich line. Like,
wow.
Can you remind me who this guy has beat? Anybody good?
Nobody good.
Derek Lewis.
Derek Lewis.
I don't consider I honestly don't consider Derek Lewis good.
Lewis, who's Tai Tuivasa beat?
He's definitely faced a much better I mean, You don't remember the Cyril Gane fight? He hurt Cyril Gane in that fight.
Yes, he
I
did
mean,
hurt Cyril Gane.
You're talking about
Yeah.
probably the best heavyweight in the world. And, he's faced much. I mean, this guy's faced Andre Arlovsky, Junior Dos Santos. We're talking Arlovsky not now. We're talking Arlovsky 4 years ago. Junior Dos Santos, Bagloy Ivanov. I mean, he's faced much better opposition.
Yeah.
And when you look at Pavlovich, he's the 3 wins prior to him beating Lewis. Those guys are not even in the UFC anymore. So it's like, I mean, he's faced a bunch of cans, to be honest, in the UFC, and he's beat them and he's knocked them out in the first round, and he knocked out Derek Lewis in the first round. But this is the thing with me where I look at this matchup that's very important to me is when you watch the Overeem fight, Pavlovich gets knocked out with a hammer fist on the ground. One hammer fist, and you could see his head go out. He's like out, right?
Yeah.
We do know that Tai Tuivasa has a pretty good chin. He can take a lot of shit.
Yeah.
So if I was to tell you these two guys are swinging it out and one guy has a better chin than the other, who are you going to take and you're getting plus 185?
Yeah.
That's my thing here. It's like Tuivasa is the more durable guy, in my opinion. Pavlovich, yeah, he has the reach advantage, but what does the guy do? He comes in the pocket swinging hammers. It's not like he's going to tag you up for 15 minutes from the outside. He likes to come in the pocket and just swing those wild hooks. And it's going to give Tuivasa the chance to counter in the pocket. So it's like plus 185, minus 215 on Pavlovich. I don't get it. He might turn out to be a good fighter, and it might be dead wrong. I just think this guy is overhyped. A lot of recency bias baked into this line. Give me Tai Tuivasa here. I think he's the better fighter. Plus 185, I think is a funny line here.
I'm gonna disagree with you and then agree with you because it's fucked up because they both have fought Derek Lewis and beat him, but he beat Augusto Sakai, not in the UFC anymore, Greg Hardy, not in the UFC anymore, and Harry Hunsucker, not in the UFC anymore, and Stefan Struve, not in the UFC anymore. It's unfortunate because him too, right? Shamil's still in the UFC, but Maurice Green is not, Golem is not, Kirill's not. So it's actually kind of funny how similar they actually are. And now we circle back to where I actually agree with you and where I felt like you hit me with a sack of oranges and really reminded me of something. Not only like you said, and I kind of like the idea not to lay a money line over minus 300. On heavyweight MMA, you can't lay over minus 200 because unless you can really take away the power, unless it's literally Andre Arlovsky and you're sure he's not going to knock anybody out, you better be damn sure because at minus 215, you're right. Would it be that surprising if I woke up Sunday and Sergey got clipped? No, you're right. So I'm glad you talked some sense. Dude, if you're not somehow subscribed to Narco Cop, if you're not following him on YouTube and following him with DFS and the boys, I don't know what you're doing because he's preaching some good stuff over here.
So yeah, I mean, real question is, what's Ty's walkout song going to be? Shout out Prince. So tell me what you want, what you really want.
Oh my goodness.
What was it? A Barbie Girl was another one that he did.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
And he comes out to Walking on Sunshine or something.
Yeah, got to be leery of the hammers for fists. And also Derek Lewis is landing some breathtaking ground and pound that he just is like, all right, I'm gonna get up now. It's like Derek Lewis almost.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So circling,
this is literally like a pay-per-view. This card is so fucking good. We got to move on to the next fight.
Yeah.
This card is so good. I really can't believe it. Does anybody feel like this matchup's better than the original one or just me?
Jack Hermanson versus Roman Dolidze. Jack the Joker versus Roman
the Caucasian.
The Caucasian Dolidze. And this is because he's from the Caucasus region, not because he's a white supremacist. Actually, I can't guarantee that or not. But the reason his nickname is that is no, I just can't confirm. I have no idea. I can't. I spoke
Relax,
like it was.
Dude, he'll come and steal your girl.
Yeah, he will. Roman, Mr. Steal Your Girl Dolidze. There's the nickname, right? Can you agree with that one?
I believe it's Roman Velismus.
All right. From the shores of Batumi. Yeah, all right, cool. So let's get this show and keep it rolling, baby. So Jack Hermanson minus 180, Roman Dolidze plus 155, Same age, Roman a little bigger, Jack a little longer reach, kind of a wash all around. Over 2.5 minus 150, under 2.5 plus 120. Yeah, I guess overall it's like, does Roman smash or does he not smash? Because that's it, it's like I lean towards the finish only, but with the line at only man, I mean it's still not great, right? Where are we at? They haven't posted it yet on DraftKings. Was it on FanDuel?
For
Oh
what?
wait, minus 110 finish only deletes A on
Yeah.
DraftKings. So it's like that's kind of the only place I would feel like kind of safe, I guess, on deletes A, but also his knockout prop is kind of crazy price for me because like Jack, I've seen him drop by Marvin Vittori. So um, if I don't think Roman, should I submit him coach is gonna like leg lock Jack and actually finish it. But I think a plus 400 knockout is a solid enough idea to throw a little something on, grandma's couch cushion type of idea. But that's, Jack might just end up being the better fighter on a minute winning basis for sure. So I'm not rushing to play anything big here, but I am very excited to watch this fight. Guru.
Couldn't agree more. This fight's giving me a lot of agita, but I'm very excited to watch it. Agita, it's like all up in my like, ugh. Like it's a tough one because you see somebody in Jack Hermanson, who has the specific style of wrestling, right, and specific style of takedowns, and you wonder how Roman's gonna be able to fare against that Greco style of wrestling, right? And with Jack, you see versus Chris Curtis that yeah, maybe he got stuffed 13 times on his takedowns, but he still won the fight. So you say he's takedown dependent, but maybe he's not. Obviously, Chris didn't really fire back at all, and I do expect more heavy artillery from Roman in the clinch than I did from Chris Curtis. But you do have to wonder: is Roman taking the fight too soon? He literally just fought whatever it was 5-6 weeks ago. It's a major step up in competition. Jack's fought, very high level in terms of, even that. I mean, Sean Strickland in terms of striking, Marvin Vittori in terms of some of the grappling. I mean, Kelvin Gastelum's decent enough, right? I mean, come on, we got to give some of these guys credit. Thiago Santos, Jared Cannonier, right? So, yeah, I mean, he even beat Jacare back in the day. That fight hurt me. I try to block that one out. Anything with Jacare losing sucks. Yeah, again, like I said, lots of agita. I lean Jack, but because honestly, who's Roman finish? He's beaten Phil Hawes, who he blew out his knee first. I mean, fair enough. Roman did it to him, and then Kyle Dawkins. So I'm not really convinced fully yet. Maybe Narco can talk some sense into me.
Yeah, I mean, I love Jack Hermanson in this spot. I got him at minus 166. This line should be minus 240 in my opinion, and upwards. Where is Roman Dolidze better than Jack Hermanson? That's my question. Jack Hermanson has a very good kicking game. He's got you could see he has a huge leg reach advantage. So he's going to be kicking the shit out of Roman Dolidze. The other thing you could do is take down Roman Dolidze anytime he wants. Roman Dolidze has bad takedown defense, guys. Laurent Staropoli took this guy down 3 times, okay? And the other thing that this guy has that's very bad is his cardio. He doesn't have good cardio at all. He slows down a lot in the 3rd round. He slowed down against Staropoli in the 3rd round. I mean, this guy lost to Trevin Giles. If Jack Hermanson gets on top, he is going to smash this guy, guys. Jack Hermanson has some of the nastiest ground and pound in the division, and he's got the way better cardio here. The one thing you got to see is Roman Dolidze took this fight on short notice. So he's got bad cardio, took this fight on short notice, and is fighting a guy that has good cardio that smashes people once he gets on top. You know what that means? Play round 3 here. I took round 3 by KO. It's plus 3,300. I couldn't believe it when I saw it. I smashed that line. This spot for Jack Hermanson to me is really good. Guy has much more experience. They're the same age, believe it or not. And Jack Hermanson has 30 fights compared to this guy's 12. So I think there's a little bit of recency bias again in this line because Dolidze went out and, Hawes' knee went out on him I'm not sure. He got into that heel hook. He's not getting that shit on Jack Hermanson. Hermanson's good down there. And then he got Kyle Dacus behind the ear and then got him with a knee. Kind of like stuff that are really not replicable, to be honest. And
that's how I was trying to, dude. I'm texting TB. I might be a little stoned, you know what I'm saying, and like I can't articulate the fucking thought, and it's basically that. Thank you so much.
I legitimately was asking him. I was like, "What are you trying to tell me with these words?"
I didn't know.
I was like, "Can you please sum it up?"
No.
And Roman has improved cardio and hands, apparently.
Yeah, he just cannot replicate. He can't replicate what he did there. And the other thing is Roman Dolidze's striking is not very good. He's like not a very good striker. I mean, I favor Hermansson everywhere here. Experience, I mean, you name it, and it's minus 180 still. So maybe again, like maybe this guy Dolidze has improved leaps and bounds, but like, what did he show you in the Haas fight that you really like? Oh my God, this guy! Like Haas blew out his knee. Yeah, he got him in the heel hook. Haas is not a very smart fighter, and he's not good in jiu-jitsu. Like he doesn't know really what he's doing. So, to me, it's Jack Hermansson. He's gonna get this fight to the ground. He's gonna smash Dolidze when he's on top. Like this guy is mean when he's on top of you. So, and he's gonna wear on him. That's the other thing. He's gonna wear on Dolidze. So give me Jack Hermansson here. The only thing that scares me, and I say this every week, everybody and their mothers is on Jack Hermansson, and that feels like it's the mush of the week. That's what I call it, the mush of the week, when everybody's on one side. But I just the matchup is so favorable for Jack Hermansson here.
So actually, this is my chance to break down some of my advanced analytics that I've had here and not really highlighted every once in a while. But you go look at the ground strikes per minute of control. And a guy like Roman Dolidze, who has a 43% control rate, he only has 0.69 ground strikes per minute of control. Jack fucking Hermansson, 5 ground strikes per minute of control, and he's got a 21% over 142 minutes. Triple the fight time, so much control time, so many ground strikes. Is it Trevin Giles all over again, except it's Jack Hermansson and not Trevin Giles? That round 3 sounds pretty juicy. Round 2, you might have to sneak it in there because as much as I want to trust our buddy Cheyenne Blissmas in the chat about the cardio and the hands being improved, I just don't buy it. I'm sorry. And I think that overall, Jack is kind of fast, and I think Roman can be stuck in the mud a bit. I don't think he's top 10, top 5 worthy, but he's a fun guy to watch going forward. But I am going to come back around on Jack.
Chris Curtis has 100% takedown defense, just so that guy knows. Like that's a completely different fighter.
Yeah. All right. And you know what? Damn, man. See, there we go. Whereas we love stats over here. So thank you for contributing. Please like and subscribe. Add all those verbatim to our boy Narco, and we're gonna keep on rolling.
And just so you know, at the moment, Narco, I was looking to pull it up. It'll pile up differently as we get closer to fight night. But right now, the Tapology split on Hermansson Roman Dolidze is 60-40.
It's what is it? Sorry?
60-40. 60%.
Okay.
60% on Hermansson and 40% on Dolidze. Exactly. I knew you would be, because that's fairly, that's like almost where the line is.
I'm trying to go with like everybody that I see on Twitter, the people that I respect and stuff. And I always see freaking Jack Hermansson. I'm like, oh fuck, this is not the mush of the week, please.
Well, it sounds like we might be.
I actually think that Roman Dolidze is going to be the spicy public dog of the week that doesn't cash. To Narco's point.
Is this not Chris Curtis idea all over again? Short notice, late replacement, guy going way up. Jack Hermansson step down. Oh, he could knock him out. Jack Hermansson. Am I guilty of doing this shit all over again? Am I fucking deja vu
for the
millionth time? Am I actually becoming actualization and aware of who I am? No, probably not. All right, let's move on. Eric Anders versus Kyle Philippodakis. Eric, your boy Anders. I'm sorry.
It's it's your boy Anders and the Darce Knight.
Oh, the Darce Knight. That is a fucking fire nickname. Sorry, Kyle. My bad. Eric, your boy. Kyle, the Darce Knight. Plus 185, your boy. Minus 215, and Dawkins. Over 2.5, minus 175. Lock of the millennia. Under 2.5 plus 140. Eric Anders, for better or worse, can't finish or get finished unless you're Andre Muniz, who, like, let's give a pass to Eric Anders there. Like, if Jacare gets subbed by this motherfucker, then so does Anders. It's just the rules of the game, okay?
Ripping up my boy tonight. Damn.
Well, yeah, no, because I'm
it's just
taking your boy at plus 185 over here.
Oh my god, I just love Jacare. Sorry.
Oh, Jacare. Oh yeah.
No,
Well,
ripping up my boy tonight.
No, I was saying that Jacare is a high level grappler.
No, I
so
know.
It's
just going through his bad losses tonight. Anyway.
Sorry. All right. So Anders plus 185. I'm just like big chunky dude that loves clinch and making fights close. Kyle Dawkins recently face smashed. Roman Dolidze took care of that. I don't think Anders is liable to finish the fight, but I think he is liable to just kind of like be a little bit closer than it ever should be. Thank you, Terrence, for hitting the next slide there, I think. Guru's cat is switching our slideshow. Gotta love it. Terrence the man. Anyways, but yeah, so I'm leaning Anders. I know Kyle Dawkins is the better grappler, more experienced MMA practitioner. Just think minus 215 for Dawkins is a line issue, as we've seen with him when he lost in the last time I trusted him around this same exact line against what was it, Hawes? Or was it Brennan? Or was it Dolidze? Yeah, I think we took him. Did we? I forget if we took him against Hawes or Dolidze, but both of those matchups, he was like, I'm pretty sure it was the Dolidze fight. He was like a solid favorite, and we ended up getting on him when like there's just no reason to ever do that with a guy like Kyle Dawkins at minus 215. So
yeah, we were on Dawkins against Dolidze for some maybe to offensively grapple, which again is weird that we would not be on him here with anyway.
Well, so yeah, we maybe think we rated our wrong. So anyways, yes, go ahead.
We have. So no, I agree with you. I really do. I like it's really tough to really like Eric Anders. It doesn't even come out of my mouth properly. He's, he doesn't really do enough really at all. And you see it across his fights. Not only across his fights, but across his stats. He's landing 3.29 strikes per minute. His pace at distance is 7.7, while his opponent's pace at distance is 10.5. He's literally getting outpaced by most of his opponents. That's like bad news bears, especially when you're spending, he spends only 66% of his time at distance, which is why I actually think this fight is kind of interesting for him, because Kyle Dawkins similarly is going to want to take it to the ground, but I don't know that he's actually going to be able to. Eric Anders has a 74% takedown defense, which has, over 14 UFC fights is actually not terrible. And more impressively than his takedown defense is his 8.5% of opponent control time. When you spend that much, you're only on the feet for 66% of the time. So if you spend 30% of your time, on the ground, and you're only in opponent control for 8% of it, it means you're in control, like it says there, 24% of the time. That's a large amount. So I actually think Kyle Dawkins might struggle to get his offensive grappling rolling. And if he can't, I don't know that he wins. So I actually kind of like the fight to go the distance. I don't necessarily think that Kyle Dawkins is going to be able to pull that freak sub out. I almost like the split decision prop. I'm not even sure what it is at the moment. But yeah, fight to go the distance, and which is probably chalky as fuck. And yeah, I like maybe a little grandma's couch cushion on the dog. What do you got for us, Narco?
Yeah, I'm on the Anders side. I got in at a bad number. I got in at plus 170. I did not think this line was going to go up. Somehow people are continuing to bet Kyle Dawkins, and I might put a little bit more money at, if it reaches plus 200, I'm going to add. The main reason here is, it's two. It's Eric Anders is going to be the much stronger fighter, and we've seen Kyle Dawkins struggle against strong fighters. Like, for instance, Phil Hawes. He struggled in that fight because he just couldn't do anything. Hawes was just much stronger than him. He out-grappled him. And I think the same thing happens here. Like, Anders is going to be the stronger fighter. Anders, if he wants, is going to land takedowns here, in my opinion. And if you see, this guy had his first camp at Fight Ready, which to me is the best camp right now in all of MMA. They have the best game plan. They have the best coaches. And he went out and fought Jung Young Park. And Jung Young Park has a good all-around game. Very good takedown defense, good striking, good cardio, right? He goes out there and attempts 24 fucking takedowns in one fight, which if Anders of old attempted 24 takedowns, he'd probably have a heart attack in the second round.
I was about to say, yeah, 100%.
But this guy went the 3-round distance, looked decent in the 3rd round. A lot of people had him winning that fight, and he lost a split decision, right? I think if he goes out and attempts takedowns like that against Daukaus, he's going to land them a lot easier. He's not going to have the trouble he had against Jung Young Park. And in the striking, it's pretty close here, to be honest. Like, Anders has the more power. Daukaus might have the reach and better technical striking, but I don't see why Anders is plus 185 here. Daukaus has trouble against strong guys. Like, he had trouble against Haas. He had trouble against Dolitze, against the clinch. And Eric Anders is very, very strong in the clinch. So plus 185, it's a good line, man. I got plus 170. I'm an idiot. But I do think this line should not be that large. I think Daukaus minus 120, 130 is fine. Minus 215 is crazy.
Yeah, no, I love it. Let's I think it might be almost a dog of the day type play, for real.
Yeah, and we're gonna go over and move on to our next fight of Nico, the hybrid Price versus Phil. Nickname?
Oh my
Phil
god!
No,
he's got a nickname.
Yeah,
So Fresh Prince.
I was
Fresh Prince. Okay,
he's
Fresh
got a cool
Prince.
One,
Thank you, Narco. Shout out. So yeah, minus 140 Nico, plus 120 Philly. Over 2.5 plus 140, under 2.5 minus 175.
Both of these boys from the Florida, Orlando area, so I think that's really interesting to note. Literally, Phil Rowe literally fights out of Fusion XL, right? Which is, what's his gym called? Yeah, Fusion XL, Fusion XL Performance, and that's literally in Orlando. And yeah, Nico fights out of. So he's down there in South Florida. I forget where exactly. It says Syndicate Boxing Club, but
yeah, but I don't know. He's all over the place.
Yeah, I think he was at ATT or something for a while.
Yeah. But anyways, so
I can pull it up.
Yeah, Nico. The question here is, like, Phil Rowe has shown a clear deficiency with an opponent control rate of 47%, and then waits for his opponent to gas out and capitalizes, or waits for his opponent to be Jason Witt and have the chin of a guy named Jason Witt and then capitalizes. I don't think Nico Price necessarily fits those categories. And, like, the guys that Nico Price has gotten knocked out by, as Guru was mentioning to me during the week, it's like, I don't think Phil Rowe fits in the category of those guys' names. He just doesn't, quite frankly. If Gabe Green could do it, so could Nico. And I see Nico going for a takedown a minute and a half into the Alex Cowboy Oliveira fight, finishing out the round with top control, cardio holding up, losing round 2 by, actually giving up some bottom control and playing from bottom. But I don't think Rowe is good enough I don't think he's as consistently dangerous as a guy like Cowboy Oliveira. I don't think Nico is actually a prolific finisher at this stage of his career, though. I think that's the other thing that's kind of being overrated here. I think the over 2.5 at plus 140 is juicy as hell. And I think Nico Price by decision at plus 350 is kind of my psycho play for this fight. Whereas Nico Price at minus 140 just seems like there's a lot of value there for me.
Yeah, I really do like Nico Price in this fight, which is, again, tough to say because he's somebody that can be tough to trust at times, can get hit, and, has had a decent layoff here, right? But when you actually look at the resumes, they don't even come close. And to me, Philip Rowe's bitten off a little more than he can chew, despite having some of the physical intangibles. Who has Philip Rowe beat, right? What has he done to even deserve this kind of pick'em, like near pick'em line here? He knocked out Jason Witt. You remember how that fight went? He got grapple fucked the whole time, and Jason Witt got tired, and he went down with the first punch that he ate. It was terrible, horrible. Orion Kosi, who? Not in the UFC anymore. Guess what happened in that fight? Dude gassed out trying to wrestle and then got knocked out. Great job. You know what happened before that? He lost to Gabe Green. I love Gabe Green. Why do I love Gabe Green? Because he's short as hell and he's fiery and he comes forward and he swings. He's actually a decent striker. But you have huge physical intangibles on the guy, and guess what? You lost a decision. Not good. So now you're here against Nico Price, who's taken some time off, seems a little bit more serious. I think he really is at that small gym in Cape Coral, Florida. But he's somebody that looks good. I know will scrap for my money. And similarly, when you see him get hurt, he's willing to grapple. And I think that's could be a problem for Philip Bro. I've seen enough of his, island fights tape. Like, I've seen enough of his shit, man. Like, he's talented, but like, there's just the relative activity level from Philip Bro is a problem. I don't really, I think the power is a little bit of a farce at the moment. Like I said, knocking out Jason Witt, not a big deal. So yeah, I 47% opponent control time for Philip Bro. So, yikes. Narco.
Yeah, I mean, I just can't lay juice with Nico Price. He's not a very cerebral fighter. He goes in there with literally no game plan at points. Like, I don't even know what he's doing. I don't think he knows what he's doing. He just likes to make chaos in a fight. Phil Rowe has a big reach advantage here, and I do think he has power in his hands. He has nice straight punches. Nico Price, the problem here is he likes eating a lot of shots, and I do think Phil Rowe has some power in his hands.
He doesn't throw. He won't throw enough.
Well,
It's
the
so
problem
frustrating.
here, the problem here is Nico is going to force him to throw because that's just how Nico fights. He's going to push him back, and he's going to have no option but to throw here. And the only issue I have here is, like, if Nico Price gets this to the ground, like, Rowe is the better submission grappler here. He has submission grappling. I mean, he has a lot of matches, if I'm not mistaken, in submission grappling. He knows what he's doing when he's down there. Yeah, he tends to play a lot off his back. But it's not like Nico's some like great, positional guy on the ground. Like, he's not very good down there himself. So it's just one of those fights that I want to have nothing to do with on the money line side, but I am kind of interested in the under here. Like, Nico Price is just going to force a car crash. And the other thing is Phil Rowe gas tank is very, very suspect. So if this plays out and this gets into the third round, I do favor Nico Price there because I do think he has the much, much better gas tank. So for me, I'm looking for violence here. Probably going to end under 2.5, but I wouldn't be surprised if Nico finishes him like the last 2.5 minutes of the third round, because Nico does come on a lot in that third round.
I like, now that you hit it, now that's my prop. I think I got it. You ready? Nico Price, round 3 or decision, plus 280, FanDuel. So gets that slightly chalky minus 140 to a much more manageable plus 280.
That's a fair price.
Yeah, and I don't listen. And to be fair, I don't even know how much heart necessarily Philip Rowe has. If he gets clipped by Nico Price, are you convinced he's going to be able to battle back and remain through and wrestle him and get him off? Like, I'm not. So, yeah, I do like Nico Price in a bounce back spot, but I don't blame you by feeling bit by the dog. But with Nico Price, but even still, his losses: Michel Pereira, Vicente Luque twice, Jeff Neal, and vaporized in 43 seconds by Abdulrazak Al-Hassan. And they're kind of all excusable.
All right. So I think that is enough time spent on Nico Price and Phil Rowe as we move along to a fight that honestly is going to be a lot better in Angela Hill and Emily Ducote. And the line kind of dictates that as well. You see Ducote minus 120, Hill plus 100. Ducote is giving up 1 inch height, 1 inch reach, a couple inches leg reach, but she is 9 years younger. And what I will say is, like, Ducote put the beating on Penne. All 3 levels of striking. No need to engage with Penne's grappling because you just don't want to play there if you're Ducote. But that doesn't mean she can't. She's actually like very solid overall as a grappler, and she's really been improving her game. I think most recently, to confirm, she just recently got her black belt, moved up and has been advancing ranks. I think that was before her last fight, but still, Gordinha, Emily Ducote, minus 120. I think at the end of the day, we're looking at someone that is top 5 capable in that division. And when you see her overall skill set, I'm impressed. And Angie is truly a gatekeeper, in the highest regard of gatekeepers. And Lupe Godinez struggled with Jessica Penne and struggled with Angela Hill. But that first round success and, just kind of like general hustle keeps Lupe in the fight, but just out of the fight's reach. Whereas Ducote, I think, is going to be able to set the pace with power and just like a composure that she has. I'm really impressed with her overall. I'm gushing, and I think she's a great fighter. So minus 120, I think a ton of value. I'll be hitting it, and I almost wanted to take the Angela Hill side as a hater, but after tape, I just couldn't do it.
There's like a little part of me, I can't wait to get to hear what he has to say. Little part of my brain that's saying Narco Cop's going to say that this is a recency bias on the line. I don't know. Think it might be a little piece of that. I can't wait to hear what you have to say. But no, I think I agree with you, TB. I think I did come away on the Emily Ducote side. I think she's very talented. She's got good output, right? Good boxing. She keeps an interesting guard. The one problem I do have with her is when she is moving backwards. Like when she gets thrown at, she'll kind of like shell up and move backwards, and I don't necessarily like that. But she's got, like you said, good calf kicks. She's got good distance management. And at the end of the day, Angela Hill is somebody that is not going to implement any grappling at all. I mean, I really don't expect her to. With that being said, she actually she got a takedown against Lupe, which is crazy. So maybe she's actually trying to grapple a little bit more. So would be interesting to see if she actually tries to do that. I think Emily might be stronger despite Angela Hill being an absolute muscle shark. But honestly, it's super close. Probably don't have like a really stick my flag in the sand, super strong opinion, but very, very excited to see the fight. I do lean Emily Ducote, but Narco, tell me now. I'm really excited. Is it recency bias on the line?
Hot take: Angela Hill has gotten a takedown in 5 straight fights. But
Sheesh.
no, I don't think it's recency bias. I do think Ducote is like the better overall striker. Her calf kicks are really good. But it's like, I think this fight plays to what this line indicates. I think this fight plays really close. Like Angela Hill has all the, she's been in the octagon for a long time, and she has all the experience here. And when you watch Angela Hill, even against, Amanda Lemos, right? Amanda Lemos is a very dangerous girl, and she fought very, very close in that fight and lost a split decision. So basically what I'm saying is, because I know Ducote doesn't really grapple in her regional fights, the times she gets the fights to the ground is because she caught a kick or something. She really doesn't grapple. And if you're telling me it's 15 minutes of striking, and I know Angela Hill went 15 minutes of striking against a very dangerous Amanda Lemos, like, how could I be confident in laying minus 120 with Emily Ducote? So with that being said, I do think Ducote has very good striking. I think this fight plays close. I'm not touching it in general. Like, I'm not touching anything on this fight whatsoever. I'm staying away. I might even take a bathroom break because it might not be that exciting. So, yeah, I mean, I like Ducote. I think she's going to get better. She's 28 years old. This spot it's a close fight.
Listen, it's Emily Ducote, not Emily Lambo, all right? We're not putting a play on her like that. So that I totally understand. The one thing that is even still juiced is still juiced. I like the fight to be a split, a majority decision at plus 350. Usually those props are like plus 500 though. So like to see it at plus 350, they know that it
women's MMA. It's usually 450 and under. Usually.
So there you go. So plus 350, maybe a little grandma's couch cushion shot.
He's taking the bingo money. All right, so we got Clay Guida, the carpenter, versus Scotty Too Hottie. I'm sorry, Scott Hot Sauce Holtzman. Yeah, all right, not the wrestler. So Clay Guida plus 145, Scott Holtzman minus 170. It's a grandpa fight. This is a barbecue
I love it.
brawl. This is the pool party, uncles arguing about politics. Um, you know, throw down, someone gets burned in the charcoal. Clay Guida,
Hopefully it's TB.
yeah, probably me. Guru would try, but like he doesn't want to go.
Jeez Louise.
So I'm saying if we hit 1,000 subscribers, that Guru had like we grapple on camera for the fans.
What is wrong with you?
Guru doesn't want to do it.
You just want to
I
put your
just wanna-
hand. You just want to touch me.
I just want to touch Guru. Anyways, so Clay Guida just wants to touch Scott Holtzman, and plus 145 seems attractive to all of us. Well, for me at least. We're talking about an old man fight, and Scott Holtzman, I just don't trust his overall game. He's been out a while, seems to be fighting out his contract, and Clay Guida has been the more active fighter, and I just like his pace and cardio and just grit and grind. Like there's not much more to it for me. So go ahead.
You know, it's kind of tough, right? Because I almost wanted to be like on Scott, right, to kind of support him after, a little bit of time off here, right? He's taken over a year off, and his last two losses, right, to Beneil Dariush and Matthias Gamrot, like that's not even fair. If we had saw those fights booked now, we'd be like, what the fuck are you doing? But at the time, they were, I guess, remotely competitive, or thought supposedly to be remotely competitive fights. They, unfortunately for Scott, were not very competitive at all. Got absolutely pieced the fuck up by Beneil Dariush, spinning back fist, put to sleep, craziness. And then Gamrot took care of business, man. So it's just tough. So I understand why he took the time off. But like you said, I like Clay Guida's overall activity level. Not only with his UFC fights, but in his UFC fights. He's somebody that you see with pace at distance. He's throwing 12 points, 12 strikes a minute. His opponent is landing less, which is actually surprising to see, given Clay's general tendency to get hit a lot. I just think Scott Holtzman's somebody that kind of looks for the more of a perfect power shot, and I feel like his roads also kind of lead to the grappling at 2 takedowns per 15 minutes and spending, only 49% of his fight time at distance. That's a lot. So 33% control rate for Scott Holtzman and 17% opponent control rate. I don't think Scott Holtzman's gonna be able to hold down and lay him on top of Clay Guida. Like, that's not happening. Clay Guida is a savage, and he's got cardio for years, not days, not weeks, not months, for years. That guy still does not slow down. Like, I think he's running in his sleep. So I like Clay Guida as a dog shot here. But yeah, I don't know. What do you think, Darko?
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind that you guys are taking dog shots on Clay Guida, because I think he has the grappling upside in this fight. We mentioned this before we got on. I kind of mentioned that, I kind of compared Clay Guida a little bit to Nick Lentz, who had success like throwing strikes, backing up Scott Holtzman, and then landing takedowns. It could happen here, but I kind of disagree in the fact that, Holtzman needs to implement his wrestling here. I don't think he's going to wrestle here at all. Like, he's the much better striker here. He's got good kicking game. He's longer. I just think he's the way better striker. Like, Guida's striking absolutely sucks, man. He got outstruck by Mark Madsen in the third round. He's just not a good striker whatsoever. So Holtzman's a good striker. He does have the power. He should keep this on the feet as much as he can. If it is to get into grappling, I will favor Guida there, because I do think he's going to have the better scrambling ability. He's got the better wrestling for sure. So, yeah, I mean, I don't mind the dog shot on Clay Guida. I'm going to stay away. I'm just not messing with a 40-year-old against a 39-year-old. So it's a stay away fight for me. I'm not going to have anything on this fight.
Yeah,
that's fair as hell.
I even like that play better, because the when you save your money, that is the best play. When you don't lose money, that's the best bet you could ever make.
Yeah, I mean, we're giving out suggestions here on a fight-by-fight basis, but I'll tell you, I'm not putting Clay Guida up there in a confident prediction or even like a bet MMA perspective.
Are you sure he's not going to be the first leg of a 3-leg parlay?
Yeah. And the third leg of that parlay is going to be Michael Johnson by submission.
He's the lead.
So yeah, we got Michael Johnson plus 255 versus Mark Diakese minus 305. I'm sorry, Michael. Yeah, okay, yeah, Michael Johnson, Mark Diakese. Diakese 7 years younger, same height, basically same reach. Yeah, basically a wash all there. But it comes down to, are you going to grapple Michael Johnson or not? And Mark Diakese has gone for 8 takedowns per 15 minutes. The answer is yes, he will grapple Michael Johnson. Opponent control, 20%. Not enough people have tried to dig into that well against Johnson, and he has fought a lot of guys that would just prefer to strike with him. But clear hole there. And Mark Diakese, 33% control rate, and it's not like Michael Johnson is going to go ahead and really reverse all those things. So if anything, Diakese round 3 decision, Diakese and over, Diakese parlay piece, whatever. Could it be Chin City? Rafael Alves got that flying knee after the groin kick that set off the guillotine and all that when Diakese shoots for the takedown. But I don't think Michael Johnson puts all that together the same way. Not at this stage.
I think Michael Johnson needs a submission, right? And he doesn't really submit people. That's not really his thing. I guess, like you're saying, you're right. Anybody with 4-ounce gloves, it's totally a chance. I don't think Michael Johnson necessarily has a great chance in this fight. I think minus 305 is fair, at least. Maybe it could even be a little higher because when you wrestle Michael Johnson, he doesn't really have a very good urgency to get up. And even Mark Diakese, who doesn't necessarily have the best the best top control, as you see it, nearly 8 takedowns attempted per 15 minutes will continue to grind him out and go to the ground. So I think that inevitably is a problem for Michael Johnson. I don't want to play him at minus 305, though, despite the fact that I think he will win. I wonder what the Chronic Combat play is. No, still not good enough at Mark Diakese and over 105 minus blah. Mark Diakese and over 1.5 at minus 225 is still way too chalky. I wonder what round 3 decision is. Probably still chalky. So Mark Diakese decision, but nothing really digging for me. What do you got here, Narco? Maybe a little some. Is there a little Lambo? You feeling anything here? There some car parts in this crazy fight?
No, I mean, I played Michael Johnson, unfortunately, at plus 240.
Whoa.
I just, Mark Diakese, yeah, he goes for takedowns. Yeah, he's landed a lot of takedowns, but it's kind of like Damir Hadzovic, Vladislav Borishev have terrible takedown defense. Yeah. Michael Johnson, honestly, has very, very good takedown defense. His problem is, like you guys said, once he gets on bottom, he doesn't have urgency to get up. But his initial takedown, his first layer of takedown defense is pretty damn good, man. He he stuffed, I think, every single takedown against Beneil Dariush. I mean, he has good. I think it's 80. What is it? 80%? Let me look.
79.1.
Yeah, he's 79%. I mean, he's got good takedown defense. So, Diakese, I don't, he might land a takedown. He might like that two or three takedowns. I just don't think they come easy. And on the feet, I favor Michael Johnson. He's got the faster hands. He's got the cleaner boxing. And it just seems like Diakese has gone completely away from the striking of late. I don't know what it is. He didn't even look good in the stand-up versus Alves, and he got rocked. And then, he shot that panic takedown, got choked out. In the Fiziev fight, he looked good. His striking was not bad against the world-class striker in Fiziev. And then all of a sudden, he just refuses to strike whatsoever, which is fine. I mean, against the guys he was fighting, he took the least passive resistance. But here against Johnson, I don't think those takedowns are going to come easy here. And that's where I see value in Michael Johnson at plus 240. But, it could happen. Michael Johnson, he's 36 years old. He could fall off a cliff and look like absolute dog shit. But if you get the best version of Michael Johnson, that's a guy that knocked out Dustin Poirier, guys. That guy knocked out Dustin Poirier. So, yeah, you could have a shitty version of him. And that's also the guy that, lost to freaking Clay Guida, right?
Yeah, literally a couple of fights. I was just about to say, literally 3 fights ago.
So that's the thing with Michael Johnson. He could look very good and he could look like shit. But I think against the Malarkey fight, like he didn't look great, but he also didn't look like shit. So
I can never bet Michael Johnson after the Thiago Moises fight. Like, I mean, really ever. He wasn't really my cup of tea.
Do you remember that fight? He hurt Thiago Moises.
Dude, he's winning the whole fight.
He hurt Thiago Moises in the fight, and he got caught.
Him. But it's worse than getting caught. He gets caught with an ankle lock. 20 seconds to start round 2. He just kind of rolls for it. It was horrible.
But you know what? But do you know what Casey doesn't do? He doesn't do jack shit when he's on top.
He doesn't do that.
He refuses to throw strikes.
Yeah.
He refuses to pass to side.
Yeah.
He just doesn't do anything.
He's a literal lay and pray. It's
which is
in the notes.
Which is very annoying. So let's say it goes where, Michael Johnson is winning the first 3-4 minutes of a round, 3.5 minutes, and Casey lands a takedowns on top and does absolute dog shit. He's gonna probably lose the round. So
and you can see that. Look, he literally has ground strikes per minute of control, 0.6.
It's terrible.
He's literally a lay and pray. He does not.
He's literally a lay and pray. So
no, he is. 100%.
And I don't think takedowns are going to come easy. That's where I kind of disagree with the line. But this line is indicating that Casey's just going to grapple fuck Michael Johnson.
Yeah. It could be very, very interesting. And again, this is literally why this fight's like a pay-per-view. I think I've said that 7 times, and I'll say it 7 more because it's fucking stacked card. That's why we brought in Narco Cop. Make sure you're subscribed if you're not already. Send it around. Retweet it. I don't care if you have 2 followers. It means a lot to get that algorithm. Retweet that shit out there. So we appreciate that.
Yeah, hell yeah. So we got Darren the Damage Elkins versus Jonathan JSP Pierce. Pierce minus 450, Elkins plus 360, over 2.5 plus 105, under 2.5 minus 135. Pierce a little taller, but they match up pretty well. Except for Pierce being 7 years younger. We've seen Pierce really go to his pace, whether it's takedown attempts or just striking numbers. He's generally pushing the pace. It's just like, there's anyone that I've seen out there that can kind of match the pace, it might be the Damage. And I don't think that Jonathan JSP is any threat on the feet to hurt you. I just think like the dude is relentless with his wrestling and what. But Joe Lozon is like, listen, man, I know how to wrestle. You're not gonna hurt me. I'm gonna put you in a little half Nelson and show you you're a little boy. I think Darren Elkins, the Damage. Plus 360, it's tickling my pickles. So I'm not saying it's not a dog of the day, but it's
but that's mythical Joe Lozon. That's Joe Lozon in Boston.
Okay, I get it. So I'm not saying Darren Elkins finishes him in round 1 or breaks his face or anything. I'm just saying like over the course of a decision, plus 360, Darren the Damage isn't really in like threat of getting knocked out on the feet here. Which is where I'm or even getting busted up on the feet, which is where it normally loses because like his bloody whatever. But like, yeah, I mean, ultimately plus 360 on Elkins, it's worth sprinkle.
So before you think I'm disagreeing with you, because I'm not necessarily disagreeing with you, right? Like Jonathan Pierce, JSP minus 450 is way too steep. It's absolutely ridiculous. Yeah. Does Darren Elkins have shitty takedown defense? For sure. 56%. Not great. Don't want to see that. What I do think is interesting is he's got 23 submission attempts. So if JSP wants to get all there in the wrestling, very good chance that Darren Elkins maybe throws up a submission or could possibly reverse position there. And in that case, could be an issue. So yeah, it's an interesting fight, like you said, especially from cardio's perspective and from the fact that Jonathan Pierce is not necessarily knocking anybody out on the feet. But I don't know. Is Darren Elkins really knocking out anybody on the feet either? Not really. So they both kind of want to grapple. And it's going to be a very interesting grappling match. Jonathan Pierce certainly a better wrestler. But Elkins might be the better submission artist. So what do you think, Narco? I have a feeling you have something interesting here.
Ass shaving of the week, in my opinion. I think Jonathan Pierce just destroys Darren Elkins here.
Yeah.
He's a very big guy for 45. If you watch Darren Elkins, like how does he win his fights, right? He outpaces people and he outgrapples, basically. I mean, he just eventually wears them down and wins the fight. Derek Minner fight, he was absolutely getting his ass kicked, but Minner didn't know how to finish. Then you look at Tristan Connolly. This guy's not a UFC fighter. And it was, I think he won 29-28 in that fight. It's a bad look for me. And then you look at the one fighter, Cub Swanson, who's older, and he just absolutely destroyed him in that fight. What I'm trying to say is Darren Elkins is long past and over the hill at this point. And I think this is a setup fight for Jonathan Pierce. He's going to take him down. He's going to absolutely smash him on top because Jonathan Pierce has a nasty ground and pound. I don't think he's going to be able to sub Elkins just because Elkins very good down there himself. He just knows what to do. But he is going to be able to smash him. He is going to cut him open, I'm pretty sure, because Elkins gets cut open. And he throws those nasty elbows and shit. It might even be a cut stoppage, to be honest, just by him just smashing him on the ground. So it's going to be very hard for him to get out of mount positions and stuff like that if Jonathan Pierce is to advance. And the one thing, like I said, Darren Elkins has an advantage against a lot of fighters is cardio and pace. He's not going to have that advantage here against Jonathan Pierce. So I just like Pierce in this spot. I'm not obviously laying minus 450, but I like the unders. Under 2.5 minus 130, I think is a very, very generous price. And, maybe Jonathan Pierce, round 2, round 3, basically just submitting Darren Elkins to strikes or something, because I think he's going to smash him in this spot.
Jonathan Pierce, round 2, KO plus 700. Round 3 KO plus 1,600.
Problem is, the only thing I'm concerned about is Pierce does go for chokes and stuff like that. So if Elkins is really that badly damaged, he can eventually say, fuck it, here, take my neck home,
Listen, he's got damage tattooed across his chest. He's severely damaged.
He does take a lot of damage. He does. Well, it is actually, I actually kind of like, if you can really figure out which way it's going to go, JSP round 1 or 2 plus 100, JSP round 3 decision plus 135.
Yeah. So Narco, I know that you were up on a time limit here. So if at any point you need to get out of here, you just let us know.
We can knock these last ones out pretty quick.
Right, yeah. Let's we'll keep this train rolling. We got to respect the man's time because he was so kind to join us. So we got Tracy Cortez versus Amanda Hibosh. As much as we want to simp this fight, this is also a high level fight. So as far as the 125 division goes here, I think it's huge from a marketability standpoint and from a high level MMA standpoint. I think that Hibosh is the better grappler, and she's got good enough wrestling to deal with Cortez's wrestle heavy game plan. And I think that Hibosh actually might be the better striker at this stage too, and she's got more pace. I think up at 125, she's found her home. She had a close as fuck fight against Chukagian, and I think if she gets a rematch, she ends up winning it. And I like Hibosh minus 110, hands down. Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, I actually tend to agree with you, especially when you look on FanDuel, right? The line started to leak a little bit. Hibosh minus 125, Cortez minus 102. Terrible line, but what it is at the moment. I like Hibosh's fight versus Chukagian. She had a nice head and arm throw and is on top for a while there. What does Tracy Cortez look like off her back? Yeah, she's a good wrestler on top, but do we have any idea what she looks like if she's on bottom? Could be problematic for her.
She's given up 18% control rate.
So it's not the highest, but not very good. That's it's a good amount of time. So yeah, don't necessarily love that for her. So Hibosh is not somebody that's going to be easy to hold down necessarily either, as you see it, 8% opponent control rate. So I like Hibosh here, especially at the minus 110 line. So I'd probably get in on that now if you need it. Narco Cop.
Yeah, I mean, I think the line is about right. I'm not playing this. I think Ribas, the way better striker here. But as far as grappling and wrestling, I do favor Tracy Cortez. The other thing you have to remember is this is at 125. Ribas, this is a second fight at 125. And Tracy Cortez is pretty strong at 125. And I think she will have the strength advantage here. I do think she's going to land takedowns here. It's a matter of what happens on the ground. Can she control her? Can she stay out of submissions? Because Ribas is very, very dangerous on the ground. She's the better submission grappler. So, when you look at the Gatto fight, Gatto's a big chick for 125, man. And you could see her. She's very strong. And, a lot of times, like, she had Tracy Cortez in some bad spots, but like she got reversed. She just wasn't careful down there. And the thing is, I don't think Ribas is going to replicate like getting, Tracy Cortez's back, because I just don't think she's as strong as Melissa Gatto is. So the only way I see like Ribas is Joe's judo throws, right? Head and arm throw, stuff like that. But as far as strength is concerned, and for me in women's MMA, it matters. It matters a lot. And I think Tracy Cortez is a much stronger fighter here. She's a natural 125er. And she's also at Fight Ready. Like I always say, Fight Ready is the best gym. They have a great game plan for each and every one of their fighters. So for me, I'm staying away, but I kind of lean Cortez just because of the grappling, the wrestling.
It's a very good point, and it's funny. It's why I was on Islam Makhachev over Charles Oliveira. Wrestling is the best mixed martial art for mixed martial arts, and Tracy Cortez's wrestling could end up being enough. So I am anxious to see it for that reason and a few others.
All right, so we got Natan Levy versus Genaro Valdez. Levy going to be a year older, giving up. They're the same height, but giving up 1 inch reach and 1 inch of leg reach. Levy is minus 195. Valdez plus 165. Over 2.5 plus 165. Under 2.5 minus 205. Levy, what I will say is he seems to be a solidly well-rounded prospect. This also seems to also be like one of those classic Dana White Contender Series hype jobs where I don't necessarily think he's the most prolific in any category. While he seems well-rounded, I don't think he's necessarily like a great finisher. And I think he's got solid enough scrambling and stuff out of Syndicate. But like, as we've also seen out of that gym, it doesn't necessarily come with like great takedown offense. Like, even though he's done it well against his opponents that he's faced in the UFC, Mike Breeden, Garcia, Genaro Valdez had the honor of making his debut against the Steamroller. So I got to give him a little bit of a pass because he was, was he a favorite in that fight against Steamroller? Was he a slight dog? Because he was getting big time respect on the line. Now against Natan Levy, he's plus 165. Fuck that. Give me Valdez. It seems like I'm sprinkling on a lot of dogs here, but this is one of the ones where I actually, where I'm like, oh, sprinkles. Like this one is like Valdez is actually one of those dogs where it's like, am I considering a half unit to a unit on the money line as opposed to like a grandma's couch cushion type of idea? So it's like if Guru's gonna come in and be agreeing with me, then we'll be looking towards like an actual, like just to conceptualize where this actually sits on the bed.
To me, it's a little bit more wait and see and research. These guys are fairly low level in terms of who they've fought, who they've beaten, and what we can necessarily expect going forward. It's interesting to see where they will going forward. Like you said, Genaro Valdez ran into our boy Big Body Steam, and he's literally was a plus 170 underdog in that fight. So to come in necessarily like a plus 170 underdog here against Natan Levy, like, whoa. The line, one of these lines is off. And I think it's this one. I have no idea what Levy has done to deserve a minus 200 price tag. I really don't at all. So I lean the dog with you. I think he's a better striker. I think he's a faster striker, even more prolific striker. But, Natan Levy's kicks are fantastic, and his submission grappling is very good as well. So it's certainly an interesting fight, but I do lean towards the Valdez dog, so I can't play Levy here at minus 200.
But, bro, he beat Mike Breeden by decision.
Yeah.
All right, Narco. Good.
Yeah, I'm not going to lay minus 195 with Levy, but he is the better fighter everywhere here. Like, Genaro Valdez, honestly, he shouldn't be in the UFC. This guy, he fought Patrick White, okay, who's an Alaska FC guy. And I'll tell you firsthand, if you guys don't know what Alaska FC is, that is literally the worst promotion ever. Like, they have the worst fighters. If you watch some of their fights, it's like they're terrible, right? So he fights Genaro Valdez in Dana White's Contender Series, and it's Rock'em Sock'em Robots, both of them hurting each other. And Valdez is like, just goes rabies in every single fight. It doesn't matter who he fights. Not very skilled, just one of those guys it's a brawler, man. He just goes out there throwing big punches. You see Matt Frivola, how many fucking knockdowns? I think it was a UFC record in one. It's like 5 knockdowns in one round, which is incredible for Matt Frivola, who's really not known as like a huge puncher. Like, he has power, but come on. And then when you watch his regional tape, this guy's getting his back taken a lot. Like, he looks like shit on the ground. Natan Levy's very, very good on the ground. He hasn't showed it in the UFC, but he's very, very good on the ground. I think he gets a submission in this fight, to be honest. I think Genaro Valdez is going to get subbed here. I think he can land takedowns if he wants to go for takedowns. I think he should, because Valdez is kind of dangerous on the feet because he's just a wild man, right? And we saw Natan Levy versus Mike Breeden, and Breeden kind of made it a chaos type of fight, right? It was a chaos fight. He hurt Levy. Levy got tired a little bit later, but Genaro Valdez is not going 3 rounds, man. This fight's not going 3 rounds. I think this fight ends, under 2.5 was 155 at one point, and I played it pretty big. Fight doesn't start round 3, still like minus 165, and I still think that's a ton of value. So I like violence here, maybe a submission prop on Levy, but this fight's ending one way or the other.
Thank you for saying that. I do actually really like the violence side when you mention it, way more than even a dog side. Like, I don't want any part of the dog. I want all parts of the violence. So, -1, is that my, oh, I thought that was that's the better line. I thought it said -160. It says -180 round 3. -165 DraftKings, fight doesn't start round 3. I love that prop. I think one of these guys kills each other, because to me, the sub prop on Natan Levy at like +195 is just not juicy enough. They're a little hip to it. So,
all right. Well, so our next fight here, Marcelo Rojo versus Francis Marshall. And damn it, this is my dog of the day. Flat out. No, flat out. I know I stepped it up. In like, I'm going to put a little bit more of a play on the last one. This is the actual doggy that I've been searching for. I just think, because if you're finding a pattern, the last guy that I was talking about was a violence dude. But I think Rojo has a much more balanced overall attack, and you can kind of trust his game plan more. It's just like the dude in making his debut actually looked kind of solid against like Jordan and Phillips until like, and even, on the regional Castaneda until, time and, tough fighters get the best of him. I just don't think Francis Marshall is necessarily that type of guy. All of his submission wins are by rear naked choke, as Guru so nicely put in his profiles. He was a Jersey boy, so we do take that into account. But, I'm looking to fade a guy that opened as an evens and is now a -155 off of some Contender Series hype. I think Rojo, if he was able to work at all on his takedown defense a bit and his get-ups, it's going to be even clearer of a victory. But I think that violence could happen before it even gets there. Maybe it's a bloodbath for TV this week, but we'll have a lot of props and stuff going. I don't think I'm going to be super heavy overall on these money lines. But Rojo is probably the +135 where the dog, where I'm liking him against the 6-0. A guy that Combate, that's a legitimate promotion. Yeah. And he faced a lot of real names out there, including the Sexy Mexi.
He did face John Castaneda out there. And before that, he beat another UFC veteran, Jesse Strader. So when you knock out Jesse Strader, you know that you're destined for great things. Yeesh.
R.I.P. to Aaron Carter, who Jesse Strader was his kickboxing coach.
He was. Anyway, beating Connor Matthews was certainly an interesting fight for Francis Marshall on the Contender Series. Kind of went not as well as you would have necessarily hoped if you're Francis Marshall. Although I guess it was a near pick'em fight, so it certainly played out like one. But if you're near pick'em to Connor Matthews, why are you an even bigger favorite to Marcelo Rojo? I think Marcelo Rojo is a better fighter than Connor Matthews. Yeah, does Marcelo Rojo, he could give up some takedowns, and that could be the end all be all. That's all she wrote in this fight. But if Marcelo Rojo keeps it on the feet even a little bit, you've seen Francis Marshall not move his head at all and get absolutely clipped by Connor Matthews, staggered in that fight, loves to get hit, just kind of his thing. And like you said, he's a little bit of a one-trick pony and needing rear naked chokes to kind of finish fights. So it almost puts almost put some of the finishing equity there on Marcelo Rojo, who both of these guys are like young old prospects, right? New to us, young to us, but really 33 and 34. So kind of got to get it moving right now. And I do lean to Rojo on the dog side, but that's until Narco said something. So Narco, what do you got?
Yeah, I mean, I think I lean Rojo as well. I'm just waiting. Maybe I get a better line. Francis Marshall I don't think he's 33. I'm not sure. I'm not sure of his age. I don't have it in front of me. I don't think he's 33.
Yo, let me tell you, that would be a classic TB. I haven't fucked up anything tonight. Hang tight. I haven't fucked up anything tonight.
He's 23. He looks 23.
I did the math wrong, okay? I did the math wrong. This is where Guru cries, where I put in all the work entering this data, and then he's like, oh, you fucked up one thing. GFY, let's carry on.
I was looking at it. I'm like, holy shit, this guy's 33 years old. And I remember because I did tape on this guy in Dana White's contestants. I was like, no, it can't be 33. He was a younger guy out of Pellegrino. So I remember that. But
yes,
the one thing about this fight is Marcelo Rojo fighting at 45 is much better than Marcelo Rojo fighting at 35. I think people are not looking at that very heavily in this fight because Marcelo Rojo at 45 doesn't have to cut as much weight, is a lot more durable, in my opinion, at 45. Fought a very, very competitive fight against a guy in Charles Jourdain, who we know is a very, very good 45er who would absolutely run through Francis Marshall. And the other guy that he fought in Kyler Phillips, like these guys are very, very tough matchups, man. Very high-level fighters. And, you know, it took him 3 rounds to get him out of there. But, again, he's very competitive. Huge step down for him against Francis Marshall. Can Francis Marshall land takedowns? Possibly. I don't think he can hold Rojo down. Like, Rojo has pretty decent get-ups. He scrambles to get up. I mean, very, very tough guy. Has power in his hands. And then when you look at Francis Marshall, come on, guys. He fought a guy in Connor Matthews who's never been out of the first round. And you can make an argument that Connor Matthews won that first fucking round. And then the only reason Marshall won the subsequent rounds is because Matthews was completely dead. He had no gas tank, and he just got takedowns very easily, did whatever he wanted in that fight. I don't think people should put much stock into that Dana White Contender Series fight. For me, it's a dog shot here. I haven't taken it yet. Like I said, I'm waiting. But I will probably eventually take it. I think Rojo probably should be favored in this spot, to be honest. Like, I don't see why Marshall is minus 155 here. Like, what? Yeah, he has decent wrestling, but against who? Against who, guys? So give me Rojo here at plus money. Hopefully this gets to plus 150.
Let's go. The dog of the day. Yeah. If we're all lining up on the dog.
I am the dog, the big bad dog. Yeah, dude, for real. I definitely think that Rojo should get it done. Yeah, I love it. Love it.
Last one. Here we go. Going down to the big smash city. Yasmin Jauregui, as long as she implements some sort of grappling threat at any point throughout the fight, which against Yasmin Lucindo didn't necessarily make sense in the game plan, given Lucindo's grappling background. I just think you can't trust Estela Nunes from a cardio perspective, and you can't trust Estela Nunes overall. I mean, the losses to Sam Hughes, the loss to Carnelosi, the loss to Angela Lee all the way back on one. It's just a consistency of facing an opponent that's a high level, and she just can't get it done. She's 6-3. You know, she keeps on fighting Invicta, and not Invicta, or, you know, wherever she was at before she came up through Contender Series. It's like she probably keeps getting a few more wins on her record. It's like when she's up in the big leagues, I just don't, you know, like her striking is like aesthetically nice. It's just like I don't think she's creating enough damage with only 2 knockouts, and you know she's got 2 submission losses. So I mean, listen, if Haregi, you know, she's got 6 knockouts and 3 decisions, but she's got wrestling, she's got enough grappling to be able to. I'm not saying that needs to be her game plan to win. I just think that she would be able to kind of like mix it up at least. So
I absolutely agree with Mushroom here the most. Make sure you're subscribing to Narco's channel. That's a smart call, Mushroom. Why did they give Estela Nunes Yasmin Moregi here? Isn't this like tougher than Ariane Carnelosi and Sam Hughes? Like that's kind of mean, isn't it? Like I maybe I'm missing something, but
they're
I think
building like a Contender Series thing, right?
yeah, I don't know. They're just trying to rag on this poor girl, Estela Nunes. Jeez Louise, man. No, I don't think she's got too much of a chance in this fight. Although I do think that yeah, no, that's really it. I think Yasmin's a beast, man. She showed great stuff on the feet. And I'm just not super convinced, like you said, that Nunes is going to be able to create too much damage. Marco, final time we get to defer to you, my friend.
Yeah, I mean, I think this line's wild, to be honest. I think it's a little too big. Yasmin's a striker. Like, she's a striker. Her base is striking. You watch a regional fight, she just doesn't grapple. The only time I saw her grappling is, again, she was catching a kick, getting the fight to the ground, but the fight got back up. Like, she likes striking. That's her background. It's boxing. She's got good striking. She's got very good striking, very good pace, very good cardio. Estela Nunes is going to get the fight she wants. That's the difference between, you know, the fights that you mentioned against Sam Hughes and Carnelosi is that she got ragdolled in the grappling. That's where she lacks. She's terrible on the ground. She doesn't know what the hell she's doing on there. She can't get up to save her life. So is Yasmin going to grapple? That's the question. And when you look at tape, I don't think so. She's more comfortable in the striking. She's going to give Estela Nunes the fight she wants. I think Estela Nunes is a very good striker, to be honest. And she's a kickboxer. She has very good kicks. She's at ATT now, so she's at a better camp. But, and a big, big but, is her cardio is not very good. Her cardio is not good, and she's facing a girl that has very good pace and very good cardio. So I think eventually she wears her down. I took the under 2.5 here. I think, you know, Yasmin tends to like striking a lot on the feet, and she gets hit a ton. She got Lucindo. I'm going to tell you guys the backstory. Lucindo had no idea how to strike in prior tape when I watched her. She was terrible on the feet.
Yeah.
She was a grappler. And to see her land as much as she did on Hirige is very, very concerning, because I think Estela Nunes has power on the feet. She has good striking, and she was absolutely piecing up Sam Hughes for 7.5 minutes before Sam Hughes got her down. So on the feet, I think it's very, very close here. So it's a matter of, is Hirige gonna land the takedown? Is she gonna go for a takedown? It doesn't look like it. If she does, that would be smart. And then she can also wear on her just by implementing some grappling. So I like Hirige ultimately to win here. I think she pulls away later in this fight. But I think early on, I think this fight plays close.
That, you know, it's funny because when I had my pause there, and that's why I didn't say it, I was gonna be like, oh, you know, the way that Yasmin looks 300 is if she implements her grappling. And then I look at the stats and she doesn't grapple, and I'm like, well, so that doesn't really make any sense. And I'm glad you again highlighted it better than I could have. That, yeah, Yasmin might need to grapple to look minus 300, man. And she doesn't like to. Estela Nunes can't really get up. She's like a turtle on her back there. She really doesn't know what she's doing as well as you'd like to see. But if it stays completely standing, it's like kickboxing, boxing range, it might play out a little too close. So,
it might. I guess overall, it's not that I think that she needs that she is aggressively whatever, but like when your Instagram name is Yasmin Jitsu and you're out at like the jujitsu competitions in October and stuff, even if you're covering them and shit, like you're obviously studying and training the game often. So I see her in the gym all the time as I've been following her on Instagram and like, I try to keep tabs on what's going on. And it's not that I've seen it a ton of times in fights before or even like that I can confidently project it. It's just like, I think she could even look minus 300 on the feet potentially, given she's really good. She's really good. And that's what I've taken away.
But
maybe I'm wrong.
yeah,
but I'm not betting the minus 305.
No,
I want to
just
round 3 or decision minus 135.
No, but did she look minus 300 striking against Lucindo, who's a grappler?
Yeah, no. She
no,
didn't,
but
man.
I think
but who's she? And
Estela Nunes is a striker. That's her background. She's a kickboxer.
Right, but
she's a much better striker than Lucindo is. That's she has to grapple here to cover that 305.
Okay, so stylistically, I think when you're facing a grappler and you can't use grappling in your back pocket and you're one-dimensional and you have to worry about the other person's takedown threat, your striking is going to look worse against a grappler. Let me finish my point here, because then the second thing is that Yasmin can bring a two-dimensional approach against Nunes, who's going to have to chill out and be like, oh shit, my cardio, oh shit, what if she grapples me? So what if Nunes's output looks like Jauregui's did against fucking the other Yasmin, Lucindo? So to the counterpoint, what if Jauregui does look that good because she can actually bring a multi-level approach?
It'll be very interesting to see if Jauregui is willing, because again, practicing jiu-jitsu is different than willing to work on your wrestling takedowns.
That's fair.
It's just a total different martial art.
Yeah, so that's my problem. She just I know she's a capable grappler. She doesn't do it on tape. Like you watch her regional stuff, she doesn't grapple. Like, so what? Right. Why am I going to have confidence that all of a sudden she's going to decide to wrestle in this fight? Well, maybe.
Entrim Gym training Brandon Moreno speaks highly of her jiu-jitsu. Maybe that's just hoping that
again, I love
he hangs out with her at the gym and stuff.
Right,
so
jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, fair enough.
Wrestling, right? How good is Mackenzie Dern's wrestling that you start using her jiu-jitsu? Fucking non-existent.
Fair enough. So, okay. All right, boys. Well, hey, it's been a fantastic time. I'm sure we could keep going back and forth all night.
I love it. Narco, you fucking fit right in, bro.
And I love the discourse because honestly, Chronic Combat, we generally go with those two things, but the last part that's also important to make it triple C is the conversations. And man,
the back and forth.
Narco, thank you so much. And just as a little final thing here, guys, as we say goodbye, make sure you like and subscribe. Do that for us and help out the boys. So there we go. And we, Guru, you want to, Narco, any last words before Guru signs us off here?
No, man. Thanks a lot for having me on. People can find me at NarcoCop on Twitter. NarcoCop MMA is my YouTube channel. Every Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern, we're going to do the Lambeau Place podcast. So probably 8 p.m. Eastern, sorry, this week. But yeah, Lambeau Place podcast, 8 p.m. Eastern, me and Timothy Troiano. We might have a guest this week. We might not. But yeah, thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Seriously, Narco, thanks so much for coming and spending a bunch of time with us. We went pay-per-view length on this. This was seriously so much fucking fun. You can follow my amazing co-host, TB Scouting MMA, on Twitter Verdict, Instagram Tapology. You can follow me, Guru Scouting MMA, Twitter Verdict, Instagram Tapology. Guys, after this week, that's just 2 more cards left for all of 2022, man. So next week, UFC 282 from Las Vegas, Jan Blachowicz and Magomed Ankalaev now for your light heavyweight vacant title. Super freaking wild how that got all switched up. But we've got James Lynch coming on the pod to talk about it. So we're super excited for that. Thanks so much for tuning in, guys, and take care.